Assalamu alaikum. So we're starting our lecture for today with our fourth topic, run-on sentences. That's going to be our lecture for today. I'm trying to raise my voice because last time you told me that my voice was not clear enough. I need to shout in order to make it clear. What is run-on sentences? What do we mean by run-on sentences? Let's try to understand this interesting lesson. And I say it's interesting because when I used to read pieces of work for young writers, they only have this mistake: keep running on their sentences. Now, when you walk, you need sometimes to stop to breathe properly. Some students, when they write, they keep on writing sentences one after another without any punctuation mark, with no full stop, with no comma. So when the reader is reading their work, the reader feels tired. Where to stop? What is that? Why do all sentences are overlapped together and with no stops or punctuation marks? So the reader feels tired to read your work, feels exhausted, and sometimes feels lost because ideas keep overlapping and clashing. And so here the point is that you need to break between sentences, to mark a break between sentences, to stop and breathe between sentences. When do we have to stop? When do I have to stop my sentence? When my first thought is complete, is finished. I put a full stop and I start a new sentence. I don't keep running on. I need to stop. What are the means by which I can stop? Punctuation marks. That's why we have full stop, comma, semicolon, and all of these are things we are going to focus on today. So again, a run-on sentence is two complete thoughts, but that run together with no adequate sign given to mark a breakdown. The adequate sign, by which we mean the full stop, the comma, or the semicolon. Okay? You need to break down using some punctuation. Let's have a look at the first three examples where I added an arrow here and I wrote that the problem that makes these three sentences run on sentences is that they lack punctuation marks, or in the last one a wrong punctuation mark is used. Rita decided to stop smoking. She didn't want to die of lung cancer. I ask myself, do I have here one idea or two ideas? Apparently I have two ideas. Okay, read the sentence aloud for yourself, because when you read it aloud, you know automatically where do you have to stop, where the first thought is ended, and that is why we need punctuation marks. So do you read it like Rita decided to stop smoking? She didn't want. Or Rita decided to stop smoking. She didn't want to die of lung cancer. Therefore, we need here to stop after smoking and maybe to start a new sentence or to solve it in another way, as we are going to see right now. 2. The exam was postponed. The class was cancelled as well. So I have two ideas in this sentence. The first idea, the exam was postponed, delayed for another day. Full stop. Or, the first sentence is finished. Now I'm starting a new sentence. The class was cancelled as well. So because I have two ideas, I need a sign to make the break between them. I took lots of vitamin C. However, I still came down with the flu. And although I took lots of vitamin C, still I had a flu. I got sick. So again, how do you read the third sentence aloud? Where do you stop automatically? I took lots of vitamin C. However, I still came down with the flu. So, in the first three sentences, the problem is that the sentences lack a full stop in which we can start a new sentence. In the other three sentences, and they are, by the way, the same sentences, but with a different problem that makes the three sentences run on sentences, keeps the sentences that keep on running without having a break in the middle. That's what we call comma splices. What do we mean by comma splices? A comma is placed between the two complete thoughts without using a connecting word. And now we are going to learn what do we mean by connecting words. Rita decided to stop smoking, comma, she didn't want to die of lung cancer. I can't use comma here because I finished the first complete sentence, so it's better I put a full stop and begin a new sentence with capital letter. Is there another way to do it with comma? Yes, there is another way to do it with comma. Keep the comma, but after the comma you need a connecting word, a conjunction, a word that is going to link the first part of the sentence to the second part of the sentence. So Rita decided to stop smoking. She didn't want to die of lung cancer. We will see in the following example what kind of connectors we can use in order to link these sentences. Maybe to say because or maybe to say for. We will see. The exam was postponed, comma, the class was cancelled as well. I'm telling two thoughts, two ideas. Okay, I can keep them in the same sentence, but to show, I need to use a connector to show that I'm adding something to the second part of the sentence. There is addition, as if I say, in addition, or also the class was cancelled as well. So what about saying, the exam was postponed, comma, and the class was cancelled as well. It's okay to keep the comma here, but use a connector. The connector you can use here is and, because you just add a piece of information to the first part of the sentence. I took lots of vitamin C. However, I still came down with the flu. Usually when you take vitamin C, you think that your body is going to be immune, so you are not going to be sick. But here what happens is the opposite. I took lots of vitamin C. I can put comma, then say, but I still came down with the flu. I might miss the connector, the conjunction, the connecting word, but. Okay? Now, I hope this is clear. So far we learned a problem that is called run-on sentences, when people, especially young people your age or young writers, keep running on with their sentences without having breaks. You need to have a break. Your break is going to make your sentence a correct one in terms of reading it, understanding it, looking at it. Now there are how many ways in order to correct run-on sentences? Suppose you write in hurry. After you finish, you need to reread what you have written and fix your mistakes. Fix all your run-on sentences. Or in the quiz, if the instructor would give you a piece of the writing, a paragraph, and would say, fix all the run-on sentences. Then what are the ways that you can use in order to fix the run-on sentences? So again, I said there are three common ways in order to correct this mistake, the run-on sentences. Number one, use a period, a full stop, followed by a capital letter to mark the break between the two ideas. So going back to the same three examples in the previous slide, Rita decided to stop smoking. Breathe, put a full stop, begin with capital letter. She didn't want to die of lung cancer. Wow, that's perfect. Now I have two complete thoughts and ideas, and they are separated in the middle by using a full stop, a period. Then I started the second sentence with capital letter. I can comprehend what I read. I can understand. I don't get my eyes tired looking for punctuation marks and never finding them. 2. The exam was postponed. Full stop. Breathe. The class was cancelled as well. 2 ideas. I took lots of vitamin C. full stop. However, comma, I still came down with the flu. So breathe after vitamin C in order to begin your new thought or idea. So this is the first word. One is the first way of correcting the run-on sentences. So once you finish the first thought, put a full stop, start a new sentence with capital letter, okay? Let's move to the second way for correction, which is using a comma. Okay, to use a comma after you finish the first idea, but the comma should be followed by one of the connectors. What are these connectors, or we can call them coordinating conjunctions? And, but, for, or, nor, so, and yet. Now, in order to remember them, we just put them in these two words, fan, boys. The F, so this would make you remember the 7 of them. You would say, what is F for? F stands for for. The A in fan for and. The N in fan for nor. The B in boys for but. The O in boys for or. The Y in boys for yet, and finally the S in boys for so. This way you get fanboys. So if you forget the connector, say to yourself fanboys and try to remember what does the F stand for, the N, the B, the Y, the S, and so on. Okay? Rita decided to stop smoking, comma, for she didn't want to die of lung cancer. What does for mean? Because. So why would a person stop smoking? Because he or she cares about his or her health. So in order not to die of cancer. So here I can link the two ideas by using a linking word, a connector, a conjunction that should fit the meaning of the sentence. And the conjunction that fits the meaning here is for, from the fanboys. For, because it means because. Okay? Sentence 2. The exam was postponed, comma, and the class was cancelled as well. So I'm adding information. I said an idea, then I'm adding to this idea. In addition, I give something else. So the connector I can use from the fanboys is and. And the class was cancelled as well. I took lots of vitamin C, comma, but I still came down with the flu. So I use but from the connectors. From the fanboys, I use the but, because the meaning shows contrast here. When you take vitamins, you expect not to be sick, not to catch up a flu. But here he says, I took lots of vitamin C, but like in contrast, I still came down with the flu. Okay? So this is the second way. You can, after you finish the first thought, you can put a comma and use a good connector, one of the fan boys that fits the meaning of the sentence. Okay? We will come now to the third way, which we call a semicolon. What is a semicolon? It's a comma, and above it you put a period to connect the two complete thoughts together. Now, this way looks pretty much like the first way, using a period. Instead of the period, we put a comma, and above it we have a period. But in the first way of correction, we should make the letter capital letter after the full stop. But notice after the semicolon, we just keep it small. Here, as if saying, we have two thoughts or two ideas. It's better to separate them. We are using a semicolon. They are pretty much connected, but not to the limit that makes them like one sentence, one idea, one thought. Still, they are two thoughts, but I separate them by a semicolon. Rita decided to stop smoking, semicolon, small letter. She didn't want to die of lung cancer. The exam was postponed, semicolon. The class was cancelled as well. I took lots of vitamin C, semicolon. However, I still came down with the flu. Many people, they don't like the semicolon or got confused. When is it used? Why is it used? I would tell you it can be used in order to replace a full stop over here. It's another variation. If it confuses you, avoid it. You don't have to use it. You can depend on the first way or the second way of connections. But pay attention that in the third example with however, words like however, moreover, and thus, and many other words that we are going to learn in another slide, it's preferable that because these connectors such as however, that before it we use a semicolon and after it we use a comma. So specifically with the last sentence, it's okay, it's better to use a semicolon than maybe to use just a full stop. But for the first and the second, most people don't prefer to use semicolon. They prefer to do it the first way, full stop followed by capital letter. Again, with words like however, it's preferable that you use semicolon before and a comma after. Okay? Now, let's start with the first method that we said it has to do with correcting the run-on sentence by adding a full stop after the first thought, adding a full stop or a period after the first thought, then starting the new sentence with capital letter. Here there is an important note that says use this method especially if the thoughts are not closely related. If the ideas are not very related, then yes, use a full stop in the middle. If they are kind of strongly related, it's better to use a semicolon. But if they are not related, then use a full stop. Or if your sentence is too long, if you find that your sentence becomes too long, then it's better to break your sentence somewhere using a full stop and starting a new sentence by adding a new subject to it. Okay? Type. Now the practice. Locate the split, decide. Locate the split, decide. Where should I split the two parts of the sentence? Where should I make them two, not one? So I put a slash in the middle, okay? Reading each sentence aloud, and this is a very important technique. If you read aloud, you hear, and then automatically you know where you have to stop, where the punctuation mark should be added. At such a point, your voice will probably drop or pause. Like when you finish the first thought, you'll find automatically that their voice is dropping or pausing or stopping. Correct the run-on sentences by putting a period, a full stop, at the end of the first thought and a capital letter at the start of the next thought. Example, Martha Grincher shuffled around the apartment in her slippers. Slippers like kind of shoes, open shoes you wear at home. We stop here. Full stop. Add a full stop. Make a split. Her husband couldn't stand their slapping sound on the floor. So she irritated her husband. She made him angry. So we put a full stop after we finish the first idea after slippers. We change the H in her to capital letter. Why? Simply because now we are starting a new letter, a new sentence. And each new sentence should start with a capital letter. Look at the first example. No one swam in the lake that summer. A little boy had dropped his pet piranhas into the water. So people don't feel like it's good enough to use it again. It becomes like kind of polluted or not suitable enough. So, no one swam in the lake that summer. Now you feel like you need a pause or to stop. So make your split over here. Put a full stop and make the A in a little capital letter, okay? Now, the window shade snapped up like a gunshot, which is noisy. Her cat leaped 4 feet off the floor because it went so scary. So imagine the cat. So one thing happened first, that when the window shade snapped like a gunshot with explosion, okay? So here I finished my first thought. Breathe. Put a full stop and start her cat with capital H because simply you are starting a new sentence. Sue's doctor told her he was an astrology nut, a person who is crazy about astrology. who loves reading a lot, who is obsessed with the idea of or with this field or discipline. Stop, breathe. She did not feel good about learning that. Start a new sentence with capital letter in she. I always have bad luck with cotton jeans. Breathe. They shrink so much that they end up around my ankles. Yeah, so sometimes some clothes, after you wash them, you feel, oh my God, they don't suit me any longer. They become smaller, they shrink. So you can simply give them to your younger sister or brother. Okay. The heat was up to 80% in the apartment. Breathe. Stop. Split the two sentences. Start a new sentence. The air was so dry that her skin felt parched. Okay? Now, warning words that can lead to run-on sentences. Yani, this means if you're reading a sentence and suddenly you find one of these words, then you have to stop and think and ask yourself, oh, once I see this word in the middle of the sentence, maybe then a new sentence is starting. Then maybe I need to add a full stop. What are these words? I, you, she, he, it, we, they. What are these actually? They are subject pronouns. Or if you have there, this, that, now, then, next. So if you see them in the middle of the sentence, say, oh, maybe I need to stop here. Oh, maybe I need to split the sentence into two. Maybe I need to add a full stop and begin with capital letter. Okay? Now, write the second sentence to go with each of the sentences below. Start the second sentence with the word given for you in italics. Your sentence can be serious or playful. You can make it funny sentence. You can make it a serious sentence. Okay? So, when the wolf man came in the window, comma, the first thing I did was pull a gun from under my pillow. Full stop. Now I need to add something with the word then. Then I said, comma, this gun shoots silver bullets, buddy. So as if warning the wolf man, full stop. The wolf man did not hesitate, full stop. He opened the window and jumped in. Okay? So this is the second sentence that I added, starting with the pronoun he. So make sure sometimes that the subject pronoun would start a new sentence, not to keep it in a run-on sentence. As we looked out of the tour bus, we saw all kinds of litter on the highway. What's litter? Like garbage, okay? There, many accidents happen. They wanted me to use the word there, and there refers to the highway. So in that highway, many accidents happen, or many car accidents happen. I added information. The first thing I ate after the long hike yani walking for a very long time, especially in an open place, was a bacon sandwich, full stop. Then add something that you did after eating. Then I took a nap. I slept for a short time. Now, method number 2 of correcting the run-on sentences is to use a connecting word or a joining word. That's what we refer to as the fanboys. And, but, for, yet, so, or, and nor, and yet. Okay? Now, they have many names. Some people call them joining words. Some people call them connecting words. But in the very formal grammar, we call them conjunctions. Conjunctions. These conjunctions come after a comma and link two sentences together. Okay? So, including and, but, for, or, nor, so, and yet. That's what we called earlier the fanboys. Okay? Now, when do I use and after a comma? In order to add information, as if I'm saying, in addition to that, or along with that, okay? So his feet hurt from the long hike, comma, and his stomach was growling. Growling means like the sounds that your stomach makes when you feel hungry. Now, here I add information about the stomach, about his situation. So adding information, I can use and because I add more information about his situation, okay? Now, but it means however, except, on the other hand, just the opposite. So usually but means contrast, different meaning. So I remembered to get the Kleenex, but I forgot to get the paper towels. So you have remember and forgot, which are two opposite words. When the two parts of the sentence show some kind of contrast, then you can use but, which means again however or except or on the other hand or just the opposite. Then you have for. For means because, the reason why, the cause for something. So we use for to mean because. Some people got confused here. It's okay, you can use for because instead of for, because most people are more familiar with the usage of because in sentences. Okay, it's fine, you can use because, but keep it in mind, if you use because in the middle of the sentence, you're not going to need a comma before it. Whereas if you use for, you need a comma before for, okay? The windshield wiper was broken. You know what's a windshield wiper? مساحة السيارة or مساحة على السيارات. So she was in trouble when the rain started. Now, what does so give me? I didn't read the example above maybe. Or we don't have an example? We don't, I guess. Okay. So means as a result or therefore. So it shows a result, نتيجة. Okay? The windshield wiper was broken. So what is the result for that? Imagine you're driving your car, la samah Allah, suddenly the windshield wiper is broken and it's raining heavily outside. So what is the result we may suffer from, we may have when the windshield wiper was broken? So she was in trouble when the rain started, okay? So it means as a result. Insert the joining word and, but, for, so that logically connects the thoughts in each sentence. Now, a lot of men today get their hairstyle. So many men love different hairstyles, so they keep cutting, having their hair styled in different fashions or manners. And they use, I can't read, perfumes maybe and other cosmetics as well. Here I add information as if I say in addition to that, how do the men these days act in relation to their styles. So they prefer new hairstyles and also they use perfume and some of them use cosmetics as well, which is strange a little bit. So here, because I'm adding information about the men, then it's okay to use and after the comma. It suits the meaning of the sentence over here. Clyde asked his wife if she had any bandages, for he was dressed so sharply he was liable to cut himself to death. So he's dressing in a way that was too sharp and he was worried to cut himself, to cut parts of his body. That is why he asked her to bring him bandages in cases of any emergencies. So for here means because. It can be replaced by because. I flunked. I wrote you the meaning of flunked over here, failed. I failed biology 1 and introduction to business, but I managed C's in sociology and general math. Why do I use but? Because the sentence shows meanings of contrast. I failed, but I passed. I passed some other courses. So when we have this contradiction, we use but, which means however, or on the other hand. She had trouble doing her homework. Why? For her son was sick and kept distracting her. This is the reason why she couldn't do her homework in a good way. The reason is that her son was sick. Whenever I need a reason, as if I'm saying because, so I use comma for. Remember, if you use because here, it's okay. You can do that but you need to remove the comma. You cannot keep a comma before because. He failed the vision part of his driver's test, comma. So he did not get his driver's license that day. So as a result, if you fail the driving test, you will go home without having your license, رخصة, okay? So here the relationship is a result. Therefore, we use so, okay? Now for a practice to add a complete and closely related thought, to go with the following statement, use a comma plus the given joining word for you. The example here, Lola spent the day walking barefoot, يعني without wearing shoes. Why? For the heel of one of her shoes came off, okay? It broke. And it happens with lots of ladies, especially in wedding parties when they are wearing high heels. 2 or 1, she wanted to go to the party. Use but. So something that shows contradiction. But no one invited her. Tony washed his car in the morning. And so you add information, something else that Tony did. And he watered the plants, okay? So if here in number 3, when you use so, you give a result. The day was dark and rainy. So what happened? 4, you give a reason. So you mean like, you imagine as if you are saying because, okay? You finish the rest, please do them by yourselves. You need some practice. Practice 3. In general, use a period and capital letter when the thoughts are not closely related together, but use a comma and a joining word when they are kind of related, much related by one of the fanboys. If the relationship between the first and the second has to do with adding information like in and, showing contradiction like in but, showing a reason like in for, and showing a result like in so. Now, Lula loves the velvety texture, I can see very well, of cherry Jell-O. She also loves to squish it between her teeth. That's the kind of gel that the children would like to eat or try. Now, you breathe after Jell-O, you breathe. So you need a full stop and you start your new sentence with capital letter. Let's move to number 1. He used to fill up his tank with $10 worth of gas. Now gas costs him 15, so there is a contradiction in meaning. So I think using but here will be okay. But now gas costs him 15 because I show contradiction in the sentence. In the past it was 10, but now it is 15. So they are connected. So it's better if you use comma, but. Can we use full stop capital letter? Yes, we can. You can put full stop after gas and begin now with capital letter. But because we feel a sense of contradiction, of contrast, so it's okay to use comma but. I was a madman in my youth. I would do anything on a dare. I would do anything when I was young man. So here I think it's better to separate the two sentences using a full stop or using a full stop followed by capital letter. Lola missed her mid-semester exam in Sociology 201. She had a flat tire while driving out. What is the relationship between the two sentences? Do you know what's a flat tire? The tire of the car, of her car. What do you call it? Bencher, something like that. So that is why, that is the reason she missed the exam, because she had a problem with her car. So when the relationship shows me a cause, a reason, then okay to connect the two parts of the sentence using comma for, because for means because. Freddie Grincher was surprised by his wife's homemade blueberry yogurt, so he loved the kind of dessert she made for him. He did not expect it to taste so good. Either we use full stop and capital letter, or we can say for, which means because he didn't expect it to taste so good. That's why he felt surprised. So the choice is yours sometimes. Both of them are okay. They planned to take a cruise. You know what's a cruise? Like a tour for their summer vacation. They weren't able to save enough money. The meaning shows contrast. They wanted to make a tour, tourism like siyaha, but the problem is that they did not save enough money. So they planned, but it didn't work with them. Therefore, when the sentence shows contradiction, it's okay if you use comma but, because it shows this kind of contrast, like however or on the other hand. Is it okay to put a full stop after vacation and begin the sentence with capital letter there? Yes, it's okay. But because we have the relationship between the two parts clear, so it's better that you use one of the fan boys. Now we come to the semicolon that we said it is the third method of correcting the run-on sentence, using the semicolon to mark the break between the two thoughts. Semicolon, we said it's a comma with a period on top of it. It is made a period and a comma, and it's something called, other people, they don't like to call it semicolon, but they call it a strong comma, as if commas can be weak or strong, okay? Now, it shows you a longer pause than a comma. Usually when we read and find a comma, we pause for a while, for just a very short time. If it's a full stop, you pause for a longer time. If it's a semicolon, it comes in the middle. You pause, you stop longer than a comma, but shorter than a period, a full stop, okay? A lot of men today get their hair styled, semicolon. They use perfume and other cosmetics too. So we can use a semicolon here. Again, you don't need to begin a capital letter after a semicolon. The way you pause after you read, the first part is longer than a comma, but shorter than a period. She had trouble doing her homework, semicolon. Her son was sick and kept distracting her. I was a madman in my youth. I would do anything on a dare. Now, here again, it tells you below that the use of the semicolon would add a variety to your sentence, but some people find it confusing. They don't like this kind of punctuation. If you don't feel comfortable, if you're not happy, if you don't like it that much, okay, you can use the other two methods to correct your run-on sentences. What were the other two methods we talked about? Putting a period and starting a new sentence with capital letter, or using a comma with a connector after the comma, one of the fan boys. Insert a semicolon where the break occurs between the two complete thoughts in each of the following sentences. Example, she had a wig on. You know what's wig? Something that women put on their head to have a beautiful hair. Yani it's a fake hair. It's a fake hair. She had a wig on. It looked more like a hat than a wig. So after on, I use a semicolon as if I'm starting a new sentence without making it capital letter. Read aloud, so when you need to pause, you know this is the place where you need to insert, to put the semicolon. George robs banks for a living at age 15. He wanted to be a banker. That's why he robbed money. That's what happened in Jordan last year. So many people were robbing banks. Remember? Islamic Bank, Al Ahli, all kinds of banks. People robbed lots of banks in Jordan. Now, Tony never goes to a certain gas station anymore. Breathe. Semicolon. He found out that the service manager overcharged him for a vague job. I spent 3 months looking for an apartment. Breathe. Semicolon. I could not find anything decent for under 200 a month. For 3 months looking for apartment, a flat to live in, but then he couldn't find anything cheaper than $200 per month. Now, a semicolon is sometimes used with other connecting words rather than the fanboys. With the fanboys, we need only comma, just comma before them. But with some other connectors that we are going to learn now, we are going to use a semicolon before them and a comma after them. We call these connecting words, they have another word, adverbial conjunctions. Adverbial conjunctions. What are these other words? And here we have a list of them, that if you see them in the sentence, it's so easy to fix the run-on mistake you have. If you see these words, simply before it put a semicolon and after it put a comma. What are these adverbial conjunctions? However. So if you see however, put a semicolon before and a comma after. However means but. Nevertheless, it also means however or but. On the other hand, it also means however or but. Instead means as a substitute, something to take the place of something else. Meanwhile means in the intervening time, يعني like at the same time, at the current time when something is happening, something else is happening at the same time. Otherwise means under other conditions. يعني if you change the conditions or circumstances of something, you will get a different result. Okay? As if I say, you study hard, otherwise I give you a test. So if you don't study hard, then the conditions will be different, then I will give you a test. Okay? Indeed means in fact. So semicolon, indeed, comma, we can share all the information, for example. So it means in fact. In addition, which means and. Also, which means in addition or and. Moreover means in addition or and. Furthermore means in addition or and. Now, as a result means thus or all of them together, the last four. As a result, thus, consequently, therefore, all of them, they mean as a result. Okay? It's so good if you learn these words. It's so interesting to use them in your sentences. If someone reads your writing without finding these adverbial conjunctions, then he or she would know that you are still a beginner and you don't have your own style or like elevated words, like good words in which you use to connect your sentences. Because poor writing keeps using simple sentences without having connectors or conjunctions in between. So adding these conjunctions to your writing would elevate your writing, would make it higher, more beautiful and more advanced. Okay? Choose a logical connecting word from the above group and write it in the space provided. In addition, put a semicolon before the connector, the adverbial conjunction, and a comma after the connector. Exams are over. Now I have however. بكل بساطة, put a semicolon before however and a comma after however and finish your sentence. This way you are fixing the run-on sentence problem. I still feel tense and nervous. Why did we use however? لأنه في contradiction in the meaning. So however means like but. Exams are over, they finished. So we expect people to feel relaxed after exams. But this person says, I'm still tense and nervous. So there is a contrast in meaning. For contrast, that means but use however. Or on the other hand. I did not understand the teacher's point. Therefore, which means so, as a result, I asked her to repeat it, to explain again for me. Why do I use therefore? Because it means as a result, وبالتالي. Can I use anything else? Yes, you can say therefore, consequently, thus, as a result. Before any one of these four choices, you need a semicolon, and after it, you need a comma. With his thumbnail, Clyde tried to split open the cell phone covering on the new record album. Nevertheless, the cell phone refused to tear. So he's trying something, but it didn't work. So there is a contradiction in meaning. We can use nevertheless or however, okay? Freddie Grincher worries about his hair thinning. His hair is getting thinner and thinner. يعني he is losing hair. And men feel worried when they are about to start being bald أصلع. Also, he worries about developing a midriff bulge, which is a kind of disease that happens in the chest. So he worries about two problems. The first one is hair thinning. The other one is a health issue. So when we add information about what he worries about, it's okay to use also, or in addition, a semicolon is needed before and a comma is needed after. Okay? Now a last note on subordination, and don't care a lot about this thing because we will take it in a separate lesson later on page 295 and the 320. We will have the lesson in details. So over here we simply refer to it quickly. So sometimes it says you can join two parts of the sentences using something we call subordination. In subordination, there are two parts of the sentence. One part shows me a weak part, and I explained this last time when we talked about the dependent words, when we talked about dependent words that would make this a part of the sentence that is not strong enough to carry the meaning by itself. So we will have three connectors here: when, because, although. When the window shade snapped up like a gunshot, comma, طيب, okay, what happened? So if you stop here, it's a fragment. Continue the sentence. Her cat leaped 4 feet off the floor because the cat got really scared of the noisy voice of the window, from the noisy voice of the sound, because of the noisy sound of the window slapping. Now, when, this is a subordinating word, okay? When the window shade snapped up like a gunshot, okay, don't stop here. If you stop here, it's a fragment. Put a comma. Now, the first part of the sentence isn't strong enough, doesn't carry a full meaning by itself. But the second part is strong enough. As if you say the cat leaped 4 feet off the floor, so you imagine a cat is scared and leaping off 4 feet off the floor. So the meaning is stronger in the second part of the sentence. Because it rained all week, طيب, what happened? You should finish, otherwise this is a fragment. Parts of the highway were flooded. Oh, that's the reason. Lots of highways. Remember Amman floods, وسط البلد floods whenever it rains in winter time. Although they planned to take a cruise for their summer vacation, okay, so what else? Continue, please. They planned, so what happened then? They were not able to save enough money. So this way, we are connecting two parts of the sentence together. But keep in mind that the one with the dependent word, when, because, although, is the weak part, is not strong. But the other part, without the word dependent, without the subordination word, is the strongest part of the sentence. Okay? Now, this is a summary of our lesson. Read the sentence aloud to yourself. Automatically, when you listen to it, you will know where you need to breathe and to stop. So where to insert the punctuation mark. Be on lookout for words that can lead you to run-on sentence. Search إنه in the middle صار عندي I, you, he, she, it, we, they, their, this, that, then, next. And I'm not putting a full stop or a comma with a connector. If so, then I'm doing a mistake. Then there is a run-on sentence. Correction of run-on sentences can be one of the 4 methods that we have learned today. Period and capital letter, comma and joining word, one of the fanboys, semicolon, or subordination, as in the last thing we explained, having when, or because of, or although. There are many other subordination, just you have 3 examples here. Now, a preview test 1, put a slash mark between the 2 complete thoughts in each of the sentences. Then correct the run-on sentence either by using period, full stop, and capital letter, or by using a comma and the joining word from the fanboys. They said but and but for. So, if the ideas seem closely related, you can join you may want to use the joining word instead of the full stop. Okay? Example. أيمون أوريجرون بولول يعني. When I have to get up in the morning. We all do so. Okay, breathe. Anyone hearing me would think I was crazy. So we break the sentence after morning, we put a full stop, and we can use a capital, we make it a capital letter word after the full stop. Flies were getting into the house, which is a noisy thing. The window screen was torn. Why would the flies Dubban get inside your house? Because the window screen was torn. Okay? So that is the reason why. When we talk about reason, then the relationship is clear between the two parts of the sentence. So you can keep the comma after house and put for. Why? لأنه for means because. 2. She got in her math homework. She got A's, in her math homework by using her pocket calculator. She was not allowed to use the calculator at school. Okay, full stop, she, if you believe that the two sentences are separate. I take a 250 milligram vitamin C tablet every morning. I never get colds anymore as a result. So, because we have the relationship that shows result between the two parts of the sentence, then we can use the connecting word from the fanboys, so. So after morning, I put a comma, then I put so I never get colds anymore. Now the last one, or the one before the last one. He went down to the lake to take pictures of the Canadian geese. Breathe. You have the word it. It was raining and the geese had disappeared. There is a contradiction. You went to the lake to do something, to take a picture, but you couldn't do so because it was raining. Because the sentence shows contradiction, you can use comma, but. The Beatles sing, all you need is love. Beatles, this is the name of band, musical band, okay? Frank really believes this is true, full stop, and then Frank because we have a new sentence. Review of test 2 that says correct each run-on sentence by using period, full stop, comma, and joining word, or a semicolon, okay? And that is the last exercise for today. I hope you finish the rest of the exercises once you do your once you start working with your book, after you finish listening to this lecture. Tony hated going to a new barber. You know what's the barber? The one who cut the men's hair. Full stop. He was afraid his hair would be butchered. We can begin a new sentence, or we can give a reason. So we say for he was afraid. It's okay to use for, or it's your choice to put a full stop and capital letter, or you can even put a semicolon and keep it a small letter. He took enormous bites of the roast beef sandwich. Enormous means very big bites. He was hungry maybe. It was the first decent thing he had eaten all day. I can say and it was, so I add information, or I can put a full stop and begin with capital letter, or I can put a semicolon and leave it a small letter. Sarah leaped up screaming. ليش? Why she screamed? Why suddenly she started shouting? A black spider was on her leg. Either I put full stop and I begin a new sentence with capital letter, or I prefer here to put a comma and to say for a black spider, because I give a reason, which means because a black spider was on her leg. My wet fingers stuck to the frosty ice cube tray, and so I had to pry them loose before they froze. It happens a lot with me when I take out pieces of ice or cubes of ice from the refrigerator. Anyway, so here we have the result. The relationship between the two parts shows me a result. When I have a result, it's good if I use so as a connector. So after the word tray, I put comma, or I keep the comma. Actually, it is there. I just keep it. Then I add so I had. Okay? Number 4. 4 films were playing in town, semicolon. 3 were X-rated, and 1 was a Disney cartoon. Here, the relationship is a little bit stronger because I give details. So it's okay if I use semicolon. I use semicolon and I leave a 3 small letter. Okay? Clyde took his son to the children's zoo at the shopping center. Breathe. Both of them enjoyed petting the goats, lambs, and fawns. Here you need a full stop and you begin a new sentence with capital letter because the two sentences are not pretty much connected. So it's better if you break them using a full stop. Therefore, today we learned that it's so bad to use running on sentences. It's confusing for the reader. It makes your piece of writing a weak one. Therefore, make sure when you write any piece to read it again for editing. When you read carefully, breathe. When you find that you keep running on your sentences, fix that. Correct your mistakes by one of the 4 methods we learned today. Either by putting a full stop and beginning a new sentence with capital letter. If there is a relationship that is clear between the 2 parts of the sentence, then put a comma and use one of the fanboys. Or you use a semicolon followed by the connecting word adverbial conjunction followed by a comma in case of however, therefore, moreover, also, consequently. You have the words in a list. Or number 4, you can use a subordinating conjunction such as because of, although, when. Okay? That's all for today. Please finish all the exercises that I haven't done for you in your book. So you need to practice in order to master and manage the skills we talk about over here. Tomorrow we won't have a lecture or a video, at least I mean. I'm going to send you your first assignment for tomorrow. So tomorrow all you have to do is the following. Revise all the lectures we took from Sunday until, or we have taken actually from Sunday until Wednesday today. And then after revising them all, do the worksheet that I'm going to send for you as an assignment. I'll send it to you via the WhatsApp group and I'll provide you with my email. Once you are done, send it to me via email. Make sure to have your name written. Make sure to have your university number added, and make sure, and it's pretty much important, to write the title of the course, which is writing. يعطيكم العافية, and thank you so much.